Hi, and welcome to Smart String Teacher. My name is Grace, and I just want to give you a quick overview of my smart handouts for setting up bow hold and left hand. I have found that using these handouts have been the fastest way I've ever found to teach beginner technique to a classroom full of students. Why? Because I've laid out really successful steps that help students understand how to set up their bow hold and how to set up their left hand. And number two, because when you're demonstrating from the front of the room, that's the most ineffective way to teach beginner technique. Also, videos are kind of hit or miss because they could go too fast for students and you waste a lot of time replaying them in class. Once I gave my students these handouts, I had almost instant success because the students could look at them at their own pace and they didn't move, so they can clearly see what they were trying to do. And I just had instant success with them. They've also been tested by many, many happy teachers. And so I can't wait for you to try them out too. So here's a quick overview of what's in the handouts. Okay, so the first thing you'll see is some printing and sharing tips and teaching tips, some of which I'm going to go over right now. And then there's a table of contents showing you which handouts are which. The lessons are broken down into 5 easy lessons. Now you'll see the first 2 lessons are done on the pencil. And this is a really great advantage because you can start these exercises with your students right away before they even know what instrument they're playing. They can do the exercises for both the upper strings and lower strings. And that'll give you a heads up on who has the fine motor skills to play each. So here we go. The first lesson is the pencil bow hold. And what I've shown here is where your thumb should go for upper strings and lower strings. And that makes a huge difference in the angle of their bow hold. I also show where the pencil should touch underneath the hand. And that's really important for you to take note of because that contact line can help solve a lot of bow hold problems. On the next page, I show what a correct thumb looks like and an incorrect thumb looks like. So that really helps students get their thumbs bent properly. And that's pretty much all you have to do to get a cello and bass bow hold. And then you can get your students to put the pinkies on top of the pencil and lower the index side of the hand to get a violin and viola bow hold. So again, all the students can do both bow holds and practice them. The next lesson is left hand on the pencil. Now, many of you have probably never tried left hand on the pencil, but the pencil is really great for teaching the basics of the left hand. So as you can see, the steps here for the lower strings is very simple. And then getting their hand in telephone position so they know where first position is going to lie on their instrument. So maybe you've done this before on a pencil or some other object, but probably you have never done a left hand on pencil for the upper strings, and it's actually quite easy. And when you do these steps, it forces your students to put their fingers in line on the pencil and at the right angle. So it's really actually very handy to start left hand on the pencil. One thing to make sure of is to make sure the students do this as a two-handed exercise until they have the fine motor skills to let go of the pencil with their right hand. Also, because the pencil is so small, you won't see much of a mouse hole here, but that's okay because once they take this and put it on the instrument, the mouse hole will automatically be there. The next few handouts are on the bow. So it starts with the care of the bow, so some rules and tips and parts of the bow, as well as where the thumb goes, which I call the thumb area. So they're clear where their thumb is going to go when they get a bow. And then how to rosin your bow, as well as how to tighten and loosen the bow with really clear pictures as to what the hair looks like when the bow is tightened properly and loosened properly. The fourth lesson is putting the bow hold on the bow, and the key part of this is the corner of the thumb. Make sure that that is in the thumb area. There's an activity of balancing the bow with just your thumb so that they understand that the thumb is actually what holds up the bow and not by squeezing the fingers. And then they place their bow holds on the bow and check for all the things that we were checking before, including the pencil line and the backwards G. Next, lesson 5 is putting your left hand on the instrument. So this clearly shows the lower strings where their second finger and thumb go and how their fingers are placed on the tapes, as well as making sure the student positions their neck of their instrument in the telephone position. And finally, left hand on the violin and viola is first done in rest position so that they can clearly see what they're doing. So you can do that step if you want, and then what it looks like when they're in playing position. So that's just a quick overview of what is in the handouts. As you can see that every step is really clear, and the students can take these handouts home, have their parents help them if they're too little to read it, and be able to remember what they're supposed to do when they get home. So these are the advantages that teachers really like about these handouts, as well as it being really quick and easy during class for them to set up their fingers. They're also great because when there's a problem, you can point to the pictures to help them out, as well as they're great for remedial work. So students who are having trouble with right or left hand technique can clearly see what the pictures are doing and work on fixing their own technique. So if you want to learn more about how I set up my beginner students, make sure you sign up for my emails and watch out for my free master classes that I offer every once in a while. And I'll go into more detail about how I start my beginner strings. So I know these handouts are really going to help you speed up your process for teaching beginner strings, and I can't wait for you to try them, and I can't wait to hear back from you on how well it works.